Okay.
Making me hungry.
So we're going to go back to the beginning of chapter 31 because we're finally out of the boring stuff, or I thought was boring. Now we're getting into some good stuff.
Want me to read?
Well, hold on a second. So we've now finished all of the instructions for yes, we finished all the instructions for the building of the tabernacle. And so now we're going to get to the little narrative section in between the instructions and the actual building itself. All right, Lenore, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. The Lord spoke to Moses, "See, I have singled out by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. I have endowed him."
Wait. Did you talk about him last week? I mean, I don't want to rehash what you did last week.
We didn't talk at any great depth.
We didn't really.
Send me a new invite.
Yeah, I just put it in there for her. All right, go ahead.
Well, I have this interesting comment who said that God now designated Bezalel, who was only 13 years old at this time.
Really?
That he could have made.
Where did you get that?
I hear you.
Oh, good.
Good.
Oh,
I hear you. Thank you.
God now designated Bezalel, who was only 13 years old at this time, that's from Sanhedrin, to supervise the construction. That he could have mastered the wide array of crafts needed to build the tabernacle was remarkable, if not miraculous, for the backbreaking labor to which Israel had been subjected in Egypt was hardly conducive to the development of such skills.
I'm not sure. I don't understand, Dina, the connection between his age and working in Egypt. Can you?
Well, he's only 13, and if he had to work in Egypt at doing that hard labor, the fact that he's amassed this skill is remarkable, if not miraculous.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Where do they?
For a grown person, it would have been
right
a task,
miraculous.
but
Where
for
do
a
they get?
13-year-old,
Does it say where they get the idea that he was 13?
it says it's in Sanhedrin 69b.
Huh.
That's all I've got.
Let me see if I can look that up.
Doesn't it also say that he was filled with godly spirit and with wisdom and understanding?
That comes in the next.
We didn't read there yet.
We didn't read there yet. We just hit the first.
Oh! I thought we were starting with verse 3.
No, David said we're going back to 1 for me.
Oh, for you.
Yeah,
Oh,
what's for me?
I see. Okay. I'm sorry.
If we just read the next little bit, you'll see some more, but it's not.
Hold on. Oh my gosh, this is a terrible Gemara. I'm looking at the source for he was 13. No. Bathsheba.
Maybe he wasn't even bar mitzvah. Doesn't have bar mitzvah.
Oh my gosh, this is
But it emphasizes, if you go on, Rabbi David, that God speaks. God has endowed him with. So it's like.
Yeah, here we go. The Gemara asks, rather, from where do we derive that in earlier generations, men fathered children at the age of 8? From here, as it is written, and Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And it is written, and Azubah died, and Kalev took for himself Ephrat, who bore him Hur. And Hur begot Uri, and Uri begot Bezalel. That's in Chronicles.
Yeah.
And when Bezalel made the tabernacle, how old was he? He must have been at least 13 years old, as it is written, and all the wise men that carried out all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work that they did. And one who is less than 13 is not called a man. As it is taught in a Braita, in the first year following the exodus from Egypt, Moses made the tabernacle. In the second year, he erected the tabernacle and sent out the spies. I think the point, interestingly enough, here is not that he was only 13, but that he was at least 13.
And I understand that, but that's not what the comment in my book says.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. They're twisting it a little bit, I think.
And in the next paragraph here, it intimates that God provided him with this skill.
So even if he was only 13, then we need not worry about that, because, as you're saying, Lenore, he was going to get everything he needed from God. Right?
Yeah, may I finally read it?
Okay, you're very anxious to read it. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
It's number 3 in
I know, but if you're going to read 3, you have to read
I
4,
have endowed him with a divine spirit of skill, ability, and knowledge in every kind of craft. And then 4 is to make designs for edge in every kind of in work in gold, silver, and copper, to cut stones for setting, and to carve wood, to work in every kind of craft. Moreover, I have assigned to him.
Wait! Don't go there yet. Let's just talk about what he's been endowed with. So,
Ruach Elohim. So just so you know, Dina,
yes.
So last week we had a very big discussion. It was very rich for me. I loved it, about Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, about these 3 different types of knowledge or understanding or wisdom or something like that. We spoke a lot about that. We can always do it again, but I'm just so you know.
All right, I'm looking at the Hebrew. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So I have, in designating him, God said, "See, I have proclaimed." For the miracle of a future Bezalel had been proclaimed from the days of Adam.
I'm sorry. What are we talking? What? The days of Bezalel?
No, my translation is, "See, I have called by name."
Okay.
Lenore read, "See, I have singled out by name." But and even with that translation, I have, God said, "See, I have proclaimed."
And here it says, I have endowed him with.
No, we're looking at 2 different verses.
No,
Dina's back on number 2.
I'm still looking at 2.
2?
Yeah.
I've singled out. Yeah. Okay.
Right. But so I have called by name, but in my comment it says, "See, I have proclaimed."
Right. So it's karati v'shem. Karati v'shem, which literally means I have called out in or by name.
By name, yeah.
It says Gina, there's also the comment here that says singled out by name, commissioned for the task.
Right. So the miracle of a future Bezalel had been proclaimed from the days of Adam, according to Nachmanides and Rav Bachya. Thus God showed Israel that he had not merely redeemed them from slavery, he had endowed them with the capacity to serve him beyond their ordinary human potential. If they showed their desire to do his will, he would respond by giving them the ability and the human resources to do so.
I'm sorry, read that last part again. If they
showed their desire to do God's will, God would respond by giving them the ability and the human resources to do so.
Okay, wait, where's that from? That's beautiful.
That's just in the comments in my stone.
It's stone. It's not. It's hold on. Let me get my stone. I love that. That's really nice. Where's stone?
Well, I'm not sure you're going to love the next part.
Well, don't read it then. Wait, don't ruin it. Hold on. Tanakh. Oh wait, let me just get the Chumash. What are we? 30,
right.
31, 2?
489. If you
Or
got the
no,
same.
I'm in a different book than you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe I'm not actually.
No, I'm in the. No, I'm
No,
actually. I'm in the.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I got it. Okay, hold on. If they showed their desire, I love that. If they showed their desire to do His will, God's will, God would respond by giving them the ability and the human resources to do so. All we need when we're facing a challenge is to show our will, and then God will give us whatever we need. Oh, I'm marking that. I like that one. Okay, I'm sorry. You can continue now.
It's a good prayer to think about.
It is. It is. I agree with you, Lenore. For all the times that when we pray, what do we ask God for? We ask God for healing. We ask God for this. But
Help.
all we need to do is show God that we're serious in our desire, in our kavanah, and then God will give us whatever we need to do even that which is beyond our capacity at the moment.
Wait a minute. Is it a matter of showing God or having the will?
Wait a minute.
What did exactly were those words? Was it showing God and then God would give us help? Or was it our simply by ourselves, not thinking of getting a gift for it, having the will?
If they showed their desire to do God's will.
If they, God's will. If they show the desire to do God's will, then He would help them. Okay. All righty. Gotcha.
So God presented what God would like, and I guess got the idea that, yes, this was fine with them, and then they got endowed with the ability.
Right. More than just I think it's more than got the idea this would be fine. It's they showed real desire. They showed real
right away.
Intent. Yeah.
Okay. Now you want me to go on to the part that I'm having a little trouble with?
Yeah, go on. I'm going to leave for a second and go get something.
No, you got to hear this.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you walking out on the hard part?
The sages expounded that Bezalel knew the art of combining the sacred letters with which heaven and earth were created, and that he possessed a degree of wisdom similar to that with which God created the universe. This shows that the tabernacle as a setting for God's service and an abode for His presence was equivalent to the creation of the universe. Indeed, Nachmanides and others show that the tabernacle was the universe in microcosm, and its components symbolized the major elements of creation. No, wait a minute, that can't be right. No, yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
You know why that sounds so right on, so contemporary? Because there was in the news, I believe, last week, two black stars or two planets or whatever crashed in outer space with each other. And the result of the crash was gold. Other metals came out of the two planets or whatever they were that crashed. Precious metal, gold, I believe, was the major part of. And when you think of that with the elements that were used here as being representative of the creation of the universe, whoa. I mean, it just, for a second there, I remembered that news flash.
The thing that struck me about this is not so much that the Mishkan is sort of another perfect creation or a microcosm of creation, but the idea that Bezalel somehow has the same capacity to create that God does. That's the piece that sounded weird to me.
Yeah, possessed a degree of wisdom similar to that with which God created the universe.
Yeah,
And
that's
from Brachos 55a.
what.
It's another idea of having the world be one, that there's connection everywhere.
Yeah, but it's almost imbuing him with superhuman, beyond superhuman powers, with I hate to say
Well,
it,
that's what
godlike powers.
I understand what you're saying, and it brings to me that God wants everything to be one, and that's just part of that idea.
Yeah, but
You know, it
but
says
the problem is the idea that I'm fine with God wanting everything to be one, but endowing a person with godly powers, that
No, he didn't have the same powers. He may have known how to bring the metals together, the wood, the exact, ingredients to make things be such a way, but he may not have known the big part of it, and that was that it could also create a universe, or that it was in fact creating a miniature of the universe.
Remember, it started with Bezalel knew the art of combining the sacred letters with which heaven and earth were created.
Okay, the sacred letters, what does that mean exactly?
God's secret.
I don't know what that means. Listen to this, boy. So I looked up brachot, the source that you just gave. This is an amazing. This is amazing. There's a whole bunch. There's a whole thing, like multiple things about Bezalel here. This is just beautiful. So, with regard to Bezalel's appointment, Rabbi Yitzchak said, one may only appoint a leader over a community if he consults with the community, and they agree to the appointment, as it is stated. And Moses said unto the children of Israel, see, the Lord has called by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. The Lord said to Moses, Moses, is Bezalel a suitable appointment in your eyes? Moses said to God, Master of the universe, if he is suitable in your eyes, then all the more so in my eyes. The Holy One, blessed be God, said to him, nevertheless, go and tell Israel and ask their opinion. Moses went and said to Israel, is Bezalel suitable in your eyes? They said to him, if he is suitable in the eyes of the Holy One, blessed be God, and in your eyes, all the more so he is suitable in our eyes. Then it goes on to say, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani said that Rabbi Yonatan said, Bezalel was called by that name on account of his wisdom. When the Holy One, blessed be God, said to Moses, go say to Bezalel, make a tabernacle, an ark, and vessels. Moses went and reversed the order and told Bezalel, make an ark and vessels and a tabernacle. He said to Moses, Moses, our teacher, the standard practice throughout the world is that a person builds a house and only afterward places the vessels in the house. But you said to me, make an ark and vessels and then a tabernacle. If I do so in the order you have commanded, the vessels that I make, where shall I put them? Perhaps God told you the following, make a tabernacle, ark, and vessels. So Moses said to Bezalel, perhaps you were in God's shadow, Betzalel, and you knew precisely what God said. You intuited God's commands just as God stated them, as if you were there. Then it goes on.
Betzalel? What's Beth? You said that word distinctly.
Right. Betzel is shadow, and El is God. So Bezalel means the shadow of God. His name means the shadow of God. So then it goes on. Rav Yehuda said that Rav said, Bezalel knew how to join the letters with which heaven and earth were created. How do we know this? Because it's written here in praise of Bezalel, and I filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship. And it's written there with regard to the creation of heaven and earth, the Lord by wisdom founded the earth, by understanding God established the heavens, and it is written by God's knowledge the depths were broken up and the skies dropped down the dew. We see that wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, the qualities with which the heavens and earth were created, are all found in Bezalel.
Those are the three things we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Yes. So apparently what the rabbis did here is they said over in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9, it says, the Lord founded the earth with wisdom and established it with understanding. So we have those two things over with Bezalel here. And then in Proverbs 3:20, the next verse, it says, by God's knowledge, the depths were broken up and the skies dropped down the dew. And so there we have the three things that God used to create the world are the same three things that Bezalel had, which is why he was chosen, because he has this special connection with the divine.
Wow.
Not only there with those three words, but up above about how he was able, according to this midrash, how he was able to intuit what God actually told him to do, even though Moses screwed up the command. This is a really beautiful
I like that.
sugya of Gemara. Brachot 55a. It's very, very beautiful. Rabbi Yonatan said, the Holy One, blessed be God, only grants wisdom to one who already possesses wisdom.
Wow.
That's nice.
Okay, so yeah, it can't come out of nowhere.
Right. So in order for Bezalel to have been able to receive the wisdom that he was going to need to do this work, he already had to come to it with a certain amount of
You
wisdom.
got to be capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to have a base. You've got to have a base.
Hamevin Yavin, the famous rabbinical saying, those who understand will understand. Those who get it will get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it.
That makes me feel stupid on some accounts.
Makes me feel stupid too. No, I agree with you. I feel the same way.
It makes you feel this big sometimes when you think of the whole world.
It's a very pompous statement, right?
It
Yeah,
is.
if you those who get it will get it.
You look just like Mark just then. Oh, ay.
All right, I have to go get something. Keep going.
Oh my God. Keep going. Oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, where do you want us to go from?
Okay, so let's talk about the crafts.
You didn't want us to read anymore.
No, let's talk about, because you said we've got weaving designs, working with gold, silver, and copper, stone cutting, wood carving to perform every craft. I don't have. Is there anything here?
I miss anything good?
No, we're still looking. Yeah, it's funny. They don't, it's listed the every kind of craft, but there are no comments on the crafts.
Can I read something to you that's here in a time that we didn't? Well, it's another sort of half interpretation. Dina, do you still have a time?
Yeah.
At the bottom of page 527, where it says, I have endowed him with a divine spirit. Moses had been assuming that he would have to build the items of the tabernacle himself. And God now informs him that despite his great gifts of the Spirit, there are other Israelites with unique gifts who can fashion artifacts of holiness capable of bringing people to God. It's just another way of putting it, but it's well spoken.
Keep going, though.
It's to construct most things, one needs only a set of specific instructions, but to fashion something holy, something that will move others to prayer, being able to follow instruction is not enough. A measure of divine inspiration is required.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. That's a strong argument for.
It's a very good statement. It's
right.
well,
What is required to build a synagogue, a Jewish community? It's not enough to have the bricks and mortar. It's not enough to know to know how to structure a nonprofit. It's not enough to do those things. There has to be some divine spirit there that infuses every aspect of. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lenore.
I was just going to say that could be applied to so many different things, but here it's very specific. But one could be more than that.
Yeah, I agree. You have anything else, Gina?
Not till we get to the next verse.
All right. Well, we already read 3, so let's. Or are we talking about 3? I'm confused.
No, we're ready to move on to 6.
6.
Yeah, that's where we ended up
That's what I
before.
just said.
What the heck happened to 4 and 5? Wait a second.
We read those.
They're just the different tasks that he's going to do, but I don't have any comments on them. They've been talked about in the instructions.
Oh my
We
God.
just read those.
I know you did.
Have you got anything?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Oh. Listen to this. So the question is, why were Bitzalel? Wait, I'm sorry. Did we do 6 yet?
No.
No.
Okay, forget
No,
it. Forget
we're
it.
waiting
I'm
to
sorry.
Dina, you stopped me there. You're the one who said stop.
No,
No,
she
I
should
said-
have.
I-
She should have stopped you. I'm just asking. Okay, let's do 6. Sorry. I have something cute on 6.
Moreover, I have assigned to him Aholiab, son of, Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan. And I have also granted skill to all who are skillful, that they may make everything that I have commanded you.
That skill to all who are skillful reminds me of the Gemara that we read before.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to go on to 7?
But also, I've endowed the heart of every wise-hearted person with wisdom.
Right.
So
Both of them,
more
yes.
of that, when I studied with Nathaniel Friedman, we did Haftarot one year. And the Haftarah with Alicia, the one who talks about the woman who needs money to ransom her sons. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I don't remember which one, but I know the story.
Okay. All right. So anyhow, this woman has 2 sons, but her family owes money to the king, mostly because her husband was a badger and he borrowed money in order to feed the prophets that he was hiding in caves. But she needs to ransom her sons because the king has asked for them as slaves. She has nothing, but Alicia comes along and says to her, get all the vessels you can, and and he fills them with oil for her so she can sell the oil and make money. And one of the things that Rabbi Friedman said was that the rules for magic are that you can't create something out of nothing. So she had to have a little bit of oil, and she had to have the vessels in order for him to make more oil. And it's the same, to me, it's the same thing here. You can't just endow wisdom to somebody if they don't already have a basis for it. There's not already a spark there to start it.
So this is bringing me back to this idea of Bitzalel having, some of God's wisdom, or having equal, however you want to say it. That when God creates the world, the word that's used is bara. Breshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. And that word bara is never used in relationship to human beings creating. It's only used with regard to God, which I think indicates that what God did was uniquely divine in that situation. And so this is reminding me of that, because I don't buy this idea that we can even come remotely close to the kind of creation that God does.
Okay. And I agree with you. So now bring Bezalel and Aholiab into this.
So I'm basically taking issue with the commentary that you read that says that Bezalel had, the same whatever, or that it's not yours. It's the Gemara said.
Yeah,
Not the same.
didn't say it was the same.
I know it didn't say, but it said it was, the language was, that it's. Well,
Almost.
okay.
It's missing the spark.
Right.
That he knew the art of combining the sacred letters. And he possessed a degree of wisdom similar to that with which God.
Right. So so again, what's interesting to me about that is the whole idea of creation in Breshit is this idea of creation ex nihilo, right? Creation from nothing. That
Right.
God didn't need component parts to make something,
Right.
whereas we do.
Right, which is why I'm saying here, where God says, one translation is, I have endowed the heart of a wise-hearted person with wisdom. The other translation is, I have granted skill to all who are skillful. But for me, this idea that even though Hashem is involved, he's not starting now from nothing. He's starting with some kind of a base or a spark that can be expanded.
Well, it's not that God is starting with a base or a spark; it's that Bezalel is.
But all these other people as well.
Yeah, no, but human beings is what I'm saying. It's not God.
But no, see, I have endowed the heart of every wise-hearted person with wisdom.
Yeah.
So he didn't endow every person with wisdom. He gave wisdom to those who are already wise-hearted.
Yes.
If you go to the other translation, he gave skill to all who were skillful. So he's enhanced their ability. God has enhanced the abilities, but he didn't start, as you said, ex nihilo.
Right.
Even though God could have, God chose to select people who already had a spark of what was needed.
Right. So the way that I read that, I agree with everything you just said. The way I read that is not so much that God, for God's sake, chose to start with people who already had something, but God was teaching us that whenever we need to do something, if we need wisdom, if we need skill, if we want to create something, we have to start with something. The seeds have to be there already. That's how I read it. I don't read it so much as God chose to use something that was already in formation. I read it as God is that we needed to be in formation to be chosen.
Don't you? Well, right. That's exactly it. Because don't you think there would have been difficulties if someone came out of nowhere with suddenly the skill to cut stone?
Well, except that you don't know whether that was somebody who God had really knew in advance was wise.
No, I understand that, but it just seems to me that the Israelites, I mean, we know how they act.
Well, that's Jesus, isn't it? I mean, the idea that a person can become this miraculous being, who he's a poor, nothing. He was born in a manger. Who is this schlump, right? I mean, that is a very non-Jewish idea, that a person can just be, that we have to work hard to be.
It's almost like we have, you know how you grow into things until you're mature or until you have a certain experience, you're not really knowledgeable. It's like having faith. You take a leap. Until you've taken that leap,
No,
you
see,
may
I see it differently. I see it. So that's really interesting that you said that. To me, faith, the leap is, even if you don't have anything, you still leap. To me, the opposite of that is knowledge or wisdom or skill. That those things, you what is it? What is the it takes 10,000 hours to master something, I think. I read that somewhere, that you have to spend, maybe it's not 10,000. I think it's 10,000 hours. If you work at something for 10,000 hours, then you've mastered it. I don't see faith in that way. Faith, I think, is quite the opposite. I think faith, sometimes you just jump.
But sometimes you may jump. But I think for a lot of people, they grow up, let's say their family has supported a religion in some way, but they themselves may not really accept it, come to it, understand it, you know, with enthusiasm, until they've grown a little bit. And then they may, of course, move to something else which impresses them at that point. But I see us as human beings needing to rise to a place of wisdom.
To wisdom. Yeah, I agree with that. But to me, faith is different. I agree with you that we rise in our wisdom, we rise in our maturity, we grow in our understanding. But no matter how far you grow, when you take the leap to faith, it's a leap. And so the growth is not in faith. The growth is in all of the stuff. It reminds me of the idea of studying Kabbalah, right? You're not allowed to study Jewish mysticism until you're 40. The reason you're not allowed to study Kabbalah is because you have a lot of other work that you have to do before you're ready to study Kabbalah. You're not practicing Kabbalah and then you can study it. You're practicing Torah and Talmud and Halacha and all this other stuff. And then when you hit 40, you just dive in. You just jump.
Yeah.
So
Who said that?
It's a tradition that you're not allowed to, which was, by the way, a very handy tradition to have until I turned 40, because I had a great excuse for not understanding Kabbalah until I was 40. Now that I'm older than 40, I have no excuse. I
really don't.
You know, I was studying with my the lady that I study with from Partners in Torah, and I had been doing Tanya with her.
Tanya, wow.
And finally, I sent her a very weepy email after about 8 months of studying Tanya, and I said to her, I hate to stop us after 8 months, but could we do something else? I would like to study Pirkei Avot. I think I could deal with that much better than Tanya. I had to study after each lesson with her. What did we just say? What did we just read? So she said, yes, we could switch to Pirkei Avot.
I've never studied the Tanya.
No.
Amazing. Okay, so let me share with you my little teaching here. So this is a comment on, I have assigned to him Oholiab. For Oholiab, though highly skilled, was not Bezalel's equal in wisdom. Sadia, who's a commentator, Sadia Gaon, thinks that Bezalel and Oholiab were chosen because of their two tribes, Judah and Dan. Mm-hmm. And both Judah and Dan are compared to lions. And the temple, like a lion, was wide in front and narrow in the back. Then he goes on to say, but this is a midrash. This is Ibn Ezra. But this is a midrash. What is the point in asking why these two were chosen? There was no one else comparable in their generation. Besides, they built the tabernacle, which was equal in size front and back, not the temple. So he quotes this teaching, this cute little thing about like a lion and its front wide in front, narrow in back, and then he says, yeah, but that's all bullshit. Who asks a stupid question like that?
Well, we have a comment in Eitz Chaim that says that Bezalel comes from Judah, which is the largest and most prominent of the tribes, and Oholiab is from Dan, the smallest tribe. All parts of Israelite society were to be involved in fashioning the ark.
Mm.
Similarly, the recipe for incense includes the foul-smelling galbanum to teach us that even marginal, disagreeable people have to be included in the community.
We talked about that last time also. Yeah. We spent a lot of time on that spice. That's right.
That's interesting. That's here.
Yeah. Here's another little thing. This is very, very sweet, actually, from Ibn Ezra about the piece where it says, I have also granted skill to all those who are skillful. He says, for one finds people who have the innate talent to solve complex geometrical problems without ever having studied geometry.
All right. I think we missed a word. You had a hiccup. Can you read that again?
One finds people who have the innate talent to solve complex geometrical problems without ever having studied geometry. We all know those people, right? We all know those people who just get it.
You do.
No, I don't.
You don't read music.
Those who get it, and those who don't just don't.
I hate those people. The people who don't have to study hard, they just get it. I can't stand those people.
I don't hate you, but I can't believe that you don't read music.
That's not a strength. That's a weakness, Lenore.
No.
That's a terrible.
But you get the music. Hey, listen, I want to tell you something. In high school, I just barely passed. I got C's in geometry. And I'll tell you why. But I tutored 3 of my classmates who got A's because I got it and couldn't be bothered with writing down the details, every single step in my proof.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because I could look at it and I knew, boom, I could go from here to there. And I didn't write down all the steps. I tutored them. They had to write down the steps because they didn't get it.
You didn't show your work.
That's right. They got the A's, I got the C. But I tutored
funny.
them.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Dina, I never could show my work either. I never heard anybody else say that.
Yeah, because I got it. Why do I have to show it to you?
Exactly.
What I see.
That's so interesting. Huh.
But I got a D in geometry.
Oh no, I didn't get a D.
I was bad. Yeah.
I don't even remember taking geometry.
I barely got through that also. I got C's in geometry. I couldn't understand it.
No, geometry.
I remember being tutored by a classmate who was the rabbi across the street, his son.
That's Dina. Oh, except for the son part. All right. 7.
You sure?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is it's actually very interesting once Lenore reads it.
The tent of meeting, the ark for the pact. What's the ark for the pact? What's a pact?
That's where they kept the Ten Commandments.
Oh, okay. And the cover upon it, and all furnishings. Is that right?
Yep.
And all furnishings of the tent. Well, the new number, the table and its utensils, my lights, and a pure lampstand and all its fittings, and the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offering and all its utensils, and the laver and its stand, the service vestments, the sacral vestments of Aaron, the priest, and the vestments of his sons for their service as priests, as well as the anointing oil and the aromatic incense for the sanctuary. Just as I have commanded you, they shall do.
Great.
So this is the order in which these things are supposed to be done, because you had a commentary on, I don't know whether it was a commentary or was it midrash or whatever before.
It was a midrash, over in Brachot.
But here we have here's the order of things. You have to start with the house,
right,
and then you make the safe, and then you cover it all up.
Right, the couch and the table. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of discussion here about the service vestments, which I don't quite understand.
I have big day Hasharad. Is that Hasrad? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know what we're talking about. Yes, a big day Hasrad.
Okay, so I have, according to Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Rashbam, these are the large cloths that were used to cover the vessels of the tabernacle while it was being transported from place to place. Nachmanides renders this term as vestments of uniqueness, referring to the vestments of the Kohen Gadol, which the verse then goes on to define as the vestments of Aaron, In tribute to him and his successors, these vestments were singled out because only one man in every generation was permitted to wear them.
I don't understand the question. I don't understand the problem.
So, well, it says because it's two different things.
Oh, the service vestments and the sacral vestments.
Right.
I understand.
Right. And yet my comment is all about Big Day Hashrad, which is
Yeah, Nachmanides says here, he asks, okay, so the point here is that these are not clothing items. That, like you said, these are things that I guess cover the ark for transportation. And so Nachmanides asks, I don't know why these vestments were not commanded with all the rest of the things for the tabernacle, including the clothing for Aaron and his sons. Moses should have been given instructions to make a cloth of pure blue to cover the ark and so forth. But they are simply included now among the instructions Moses is to give to those who do the actual work. Perhaps the nature of these cloths was not important, which seems crazy to me, and was left to their discretion, so they might have made them all alike instead of in blue, purple, and crimson. Once they made them as they did, however, it was God who decreed that the blue cloth should be for the ark, the purple one for the altar, and the crimson one for the table. But it is certainly not fitting that a cloth meant to cover something should be made full of holes, as Rashi describes them. Ibn Ezra derives the word correctly from sarid, one who escapes, because each was made of a single color of yarn, having escaped from the combination thread used for all the other things made of cloth.
I had that they were made with a needle like lace. That's what the holes were.
Yeah, so Nachmanides goes on, he says, so far I have followed Rashi's understanding that these are the cloths mentioned in Numbers 4. Yet all this means nothing to me. What would be the point of the Holy One telling Moses to make lacy cloths or cloths of a single type of yarn without telling him how many of them to make, 2 or 100, and how long and wide they were to be and what they were for? What God tells Moses here is simply incomprehensible. And why is every mention of them followed by a mention of Aaron's vestments? Certainly to call them, quote unquote, the service vestments for officiating in the sanctuary cannot refer to portage outside the sanctuary. Moreover, everything in this section is for the tent of meeting. It appears from the words of our sages that these service vestments are indeed the priestly garments themselves. The term, wow, he totally disagrees with everyone. The term is therefore to be explained not as garments of one material, but as unique garments, the garments that make the one member of the people who is exalted above all his fellows unique. In short, Aaron's garments. They are called by this name to emphasize that only a single person in each generation may wear them. Aaron in his lifetime, and after him, the one who would be anointed with the sacred oil and ordained to wear these garments. The text always refers to Aaron's garments in terms of the highest honor. Essentially, they are royal garments. The repetition of Aaron's vestments after each mention of them is to add further explanation. In our passage, the point is to say that they are both unique and holy. Only one person may wear them, and only when he comes to serve in the holy sanctuary. Whoa! That he disagrees with everybody. He says, no, these are the sacred, the
one and the same.
Yeah.
And yet the Hebrew, so the English translation, it's interesting, both the books, the English translations say the either service or knit vestments, comma, the sacred vestments of Aaron. But in the Hebrew, it's ve'et.
You're right. That
ve'et big day hasrad, ve'et big day hakodesh.
I agree with you 100%. That is a mistranslation. So in the old JPS from 1914, it says, and the plated garments and the holy garments for Aaron the priest. The new one, they change it. They say the service vestments, comma, the sacral vestments of Aaron the priest.
Huh.
So the translation, the original translation seems to say they're two different things. The new translation seems to follow Nachmanides. Wow. That's cool.
I would love to see how Fox translates it.
Well, I can
You
do
have a
that.
fox?
I have a fox. Hold on a second. Come here, fox. 31:11. 31:10, sorry. Exodus 31:10. Huh. Let me go back. So they make all I've commanded you, the tent of appointment, and the coffer of testimony, and the purgation cover that is over it, and all the implements of the tent, and the table and all its implements, and the pure lampstand and all its implements, and the site for smoke offerings, and the site for offering up and all its implements, and the basin and its pedestal, and the officiating garments, and the garments of holiness for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons for being priests. And not only does he have an and before everything, but if you look at how he spaced it, he put each one on a separate line.
Yeah.
So, and. So he clearly separates these two.
And yet how he translated, oh, you closed it already. How
Sorry.
he translated the first made it sound like it was clothing.
And yes, he translates as and the officiating garments.
Right.
And the garments of holiness.
So so that
he
raises
says,
more questions.
He says the Hebrew srad is not entirely clear, but may be related to sharet, attending in the sanctuary. Sharet, yes, srad. The bottom line is we don't know what the word srad means. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I have nothing in the stone that talks about lace, or it doesn't talk about it at all. It's just that they're knit. That's it. Large cloths. Doesn't talk about what they look like.
Uh-huh. All right, friends, this is a good place to stop. So let's pause here, and I hope I'll see you all next week.
Here's hoping.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.